Historic Watkins Glen has held racing in the streets of downtown starting in 1948 to 1952, and then it moved a couple of miles to the southwest in the town of Dix, where a 4.6-mile course was erected for 3 years. After that, the permanent course was built in 1956, and it's changed over the next couple of decades into the 3.45-mile 11-turn road course we know today. It plays host to round 4 of 6 in 2026 for GRIDLIFE competition for Summer Apex Festival. Kyle Heyer joined by Arjuna Kankapati. Arjuna, this is our stadium, our Coliseum for the weekend, and we're about to get into our final sessions of the weekend. First up, it's GRIDLIFE Track Battle Podium Sprint, a time attack championship where speed and lap time are the only enemies.
You call it a Coliseum. These drivers have been building up their confidence to this moment. 3 laps and no opportunity after this to better their time. Championship stakes could not be more crucial with just 2 events left after this.
There's those racetracks, the original 6.6-mile layout and the current track on the map, but everyone's focused on just going as fast as they possibly can as the Falcon Club SC cars line up at the end of the pit lane. These are the slowest cars we're going to see in this group. We're going to move up from our Club SC all the way to Unlimited, so every session they're going to get faster and faster and faster. Here's today's schedule for the Track Battle cars. They had Heat 7 this morning, and it's only the top 5 from each individual class, and they get 3 laps, Arjuna, to go as fast as possible, and that decides the winner for the weekend. All your lap times up to this point, those are fantastic. They determine your seating order here in this group, but they are completely and effectively wiped other than the track records. It's all about going as fast as you can.
And now we can also focus on the classes. When we are in the qualifying, we are in groups, classes mixed across those groups, so sometimes hard to track the storylines. No such issues for us this time around as we get ready to send the first of the classes, which should be the Falcon Club SC. The weather conditions showing that while there is a chance of rain, we're not seeing it right now. These 5 drivers were separated by just about 3 seconds in our qualifying. Now, their lap times are 2-minute 24s or so, so that's not that big a delta at that margin. 3 laps to get it done. Let's send them off one by one.
Let's do the Club SC class overview. Give us a little bit of an idea of what this class is all about before we get these cars completely on course for their 3-lap dash here. Again, to explain a little bit more about this class, it is a 25-to-1 power-to-weight ratio category. So entry-level bolt-on street cars with a 25-to-1 power-to-weight, minimal aero and restricted mods. Your typical power levels here, 85 horsepower to 105 horsepower. These are momentum cars in every sense of the word on a 205 width Falcon RT 660 plus tire. Typical mods, you're looking at intakes, OEM aerodynamic parts, coilovers, and brakes. You don't really need the coilovers or brakes. It's just, make the car handle a little bit better and stop a little bit better. But in this configuration at this racetrack, we're going to, as one of them has already gone back to the future. This the configuration back to this racetrack, I don't think you're going to be on the brakes very much. Into turn 1 very briefly. In the inner loop, maybe just a dab off throttle. You're really carrying a lot of speed around this 3.4-mile lap.
Yeah, these drivers are not really too focused on slowing down or needing the power either that they do not have. Instead, it's just carry that momentum around the racetrack. One storyline that was quite exciting for us to follow in our qualifying session earlier this morning was, well, one driver who had some technical issues. John Laughlin in the Mini Cooper had been flagged for a dyno infringement at the end of yesterday, meant that all of his times from the weekend and Friday were wiped effectively. Had 1 session to get it done. He's qualified into Podium Sprint by 8 thousandths of a second. That is crazy.
Crazy, and that's typical of this class, which is designed to be approachable, but it doesn't mean easy. It doesn't mean uncompetitive, and the gaps we see in this class routinely are the smallest gaps in any class. That differential into Podium Sprint is the closest of any of our 7 categories here this weekend. That is Mike Jansen. That is your class leader coming into this event. And he's had a pretty strong year so far, a win at South Carolina as well as Midwest. Lennon Radcliffe won Road Atlanta, but he's not present here. Sam Dooling, the 2nd seed, has done nothing but finish 3rd all year, so he's looking to maybe pick up a win here. But the laps begin. 3 laps go on the board, and it all starts with Mike Jansen in this D-Series Honda Civic down the front straightaway to begin his first flying lap.
Let's watch the line into turn 1. Track falls away from you. It's cambered in as well, but he elects to kind of delay his turning slightly. You can run out over those rumble strips if you want, but not always the fastest thing to do that. And now begin the 110 feet of climb that is the S as the track begins to narrow here as well. It's where you begin to get some of that tunnel vision. And still
the revs are dropping as he climbs the hill. These cars will actually decelerate going up the hill with the throttle pinned to the floor. It is a long climb, and you don't want to run any extra distance around here. So Jansen heading down the back straightaway into the inner loop. And we'll likely just see the brake lights for a moment. On the speed trap, 105 miles an hour, a far cry from the 192 we saw in Unlimited.
And look how much he cut of the inside as well there, with the curb being removed. Opportunity for the drivers to straighten up the entry into that section, then sweep through the outer loop. Bit of a discrepancy in the speeds that we're seeing, but again, they'll all make their time in slightly different ways. So far, Jansen with the biggest top speed number on our radar.
Yeah, 105, 5-mile-an-hour gain on the Honda Fit in second place, but David Best went a little quicker, and O'Brien also matching that 103-mile-an-hour mark. John Laughlin in the Mini is the one I'm curious about to see if that car is actually a rocket ship in a straight line and just lacks the width to have as much mechanical grip as the other cars in this class.
Very tidy from Jansen so far. He's been consistent this weekend as we get the number, less than 100, excuse me, for the Mini Cooper. 98
miles an hour at maximum velocity. I love this category. Don't slow down. It's like, what was that movie? Where you just can't, you have to keep the bus above 60 miles an hour speed.
What a great name for a movie. Maybe not the best movie itself.
Well, that's all right, but you got to keep it above 100, I guess. Here comes Jansen. That D16 Z6 engine, a 5-speed H-pattern manual gearbox, just a 1.6-liter engine powering this car. And full throttle through turn 10.
The previous track record was a 228 back in 2023, so whoever is able to break the 24.064 that Jansen set previously this weekend, there could be an extra point in the championship up for grabs. Here we'll go, first time on the board.
Cross the stripe for Jansen. It is a 226.201. I think there's lots of time left there. It's cloudy, it's cool, it's breezy. I think the track's got some more grip, and he'll turn up the heat here a little bit, as much as one can, in a car that makes 105 wheel horsepower.
Use a bit more of the curbs coming through turn 1 that time. Dueling slot in front by about 1/10.5 of a second, so already that Honda Fit's showing some speed. Best a little bit further behind, those 7/10 off of Jansen in second. We are seeing a bit of a buffer building between these drivers. Dueling clearly the most confident on lap 1.
And all 4 of the cars that have come across the line so far are within 9/10 of a second. That's how competitive this category is, even at the bottom of the totem pole as far as speeds. 106 miles an hour for Jansen that time into the inner loop.
Watch that line through the inner loop.
Here's Austin O'Brien, third place on the board. John Laughlin comes in at a 230.3. Dueling again at that 100-mile-an-hour mark. Not as quick as Jansen in the Civic. We talked about frontal area and how much of a difference it makes to have that Civic so low to the ground. Here comes Austin O'Brien in just his, I think it's his first appearance here at this racetrack. I'm not sure that he was here in 2023. 103 miles an hour into the inner loop with the Fit.
Got some help to change from the helmet to the hat in the image on our lower third. Through the car on the exit of the inner loop to the outside of the track. Not always the quickest, but just look at the way that the car slips and slides, and you can hear the tires squealing in anguish as it's really hustled around. 99 miles an hour for the Cooper.
Yeah, I think that was Laughlin going by at sub 100 again. Could have been David Best too, though. He was behind Austin O'Brien, but down into the toe of the boot here for the 412 car.
Oh, turned in aggressively, rear end stepped out, but then front wheel drive, power off the corner, things slide back in. The thing that I'm really curious to find out here is if the drivers will find marginal time or big gains from lap 1 to 2. Have they built up their confidence a little bit more? We'll get a benchmark in a second, because Jansen's peeling through the final corners just past our eye line and towards the timing line with a 226.2 to beat.
I think he's going to go quicker, but by how much is the question. Mike Jansen across the start-finish line. And he goes to the top of the board by a pretty good clip, 2:25.417. Still a second and a half off from the track record he set earlier today. Sam Dooling would expect to see in just a moment. And he goes quicker and to the top of the board by exactly 1/10 of a second. Here comes O'Brien now in third place. They have one lap to go. And it's Dooling, Jansen, Best splits the difference, goes to the top, in fact, a 2:25.148.
And he's found the big gains that I was waiting for. I would argue Dooling and Jansen, more marginal gains for them. Best ratchets up the confidence. What does Austin O'Brien do? It's an improvement in time, but not in position. He will stay down in fourth. And now let's wait for Lachlan to make it all of our Club SC drivers complete on lap 2. Once again, Jansen quickest at the end of the radar zone, just struggling maybe a little bit more through the boot as we watch the orange Honda Fit rise up into the inner loop with Sam Dooling diving into the corner in front.
Yeah, that is your leader, David Best, in the 134 car. Past the speed trap, 103 miles an hour. He's been remarkably consistent every single lap. He's been at exactly 103. Look, not a lot of curb usage on the entry to the inner loop nor on the exit. So it feels pretty comfortable not having to shortcut the racetrack and keeping the car pretty dialed through that section, of course. And it's only 2/10 that Dooling would have to improve on, but Jansen needs almost 4/10.
I think David's in a great position right here as he drops down for the final time this weekend into the boot of the Watkins Glen International circuit. Rise up out of the toe here. It's a real steep climb as well. Hands relatively steady as he turns it in once. The fit box works quite well over the crest there. Waiting for Jansen, waiting for Dooling to first set their lap times, then wait to even see if David Best needs to drop down into the 2:24s here in Podium Sprint.
I have this sinking feeling that you're going to need to be below that 2:25 marker. I think Jansen's going to find that speed and find that time. Here comes David Best up out of the boot. Jansen rounding the final corner, coming to the checkered flag here for Club SC Podium Sprint. Onto the front straightaway. Can Jansen launch himself north of David Best? 2:25.148. Checkered flag, and he does. 2:24.451. That is going to be really hard to beat.
It's a big improvement as well. So that, like you said, he's picked up a bit more confidence, I think, on that last lap and made it all work.
Oh, Best almost into the fence out of turn 11. Sam Dooling improves, but not enough. And here comes David Best in the 134. Can he go back to the top of the order? 2:25.092. It's third place for David Best.
It took Jansen just a couple of laps to ratchet up that confidence, something for us to keep in mind as we head through our classes. Here comes the last couple of competitors. Great for Lachlan to have made it into the big show, not necessarily gone his own way. O'Brien stays in fourth. Let's see if Lachlan is able to find about 4 seconds to improve in position.
Yeah, this Mini fighting an uphill battle, I think, at this racetrack. Now, heading to Lime Rock Park next month, this car is on my bingo card. I think this car is a little better at those smaller circuits where it can keep that average speed a little higher. Sam Dooling, fist out the window. He'll pick up a podium here. It's Mike Jansen who will extend his championship lead over Sam Dooling, David Best, and Austin O'Brien. Of course, John Lachlan finishing up his run. And 88 miles an hour again. Someone's tripped the speed trap. Back to the future we go again.
Well, at least Sam Dooling didn't finish third once again. He's gone one better.
Yeah, he's finally gotten himself a second after 3 third places to start the year. So with that, Club SC is complete, and they'll head back around to the pit lane. And Club TR is up next. Here's a quick look at the Club SC results. Again, Jansen and Dooling on top of the podium. David Best will come home in third place. Austin O'Brien and John Lachlan, fourth and fifth. It will be Falcon Club TR up next. We'll be right back. Back live at Watkins Glen for GRIDLIFE Track Battle Podium Sprint. It's Club TR on track now. Purpose-built track day cars with engine swaps and displacement restrictions up to 2.5 liters naturally aspirated or 1.6 liter turbo. That's what we have to work with. The track record held by Peter Granberg set it earlier this weekend at a 2:05.432. Didn't get a chance to reset it this morning, but that's your class overview here for Track Battle Podium Sprint. As we head out on the road, we should be seated by our fastest lap of the weekend. Peter Granberg should be out front, followed by Jeremy Bailey, the blue and pink FRS. That car is running the newer FA24 engine out of a contemporary GR86. Kevin View in 5th place in the JDM Acura Integra, the number 18, heading through the carousel. The first of the cars is making their way across the start-finish line. At the moment, there's Stan Feingold, 3rd at the moment, based on the seating, or 4th rather, with Evan McLaren splitting the difference there. He'll be 3rd quick. So Granberg is the first to take the green flag.
Granberg and Bailey in rear-wheel drive cars. Evan McLaren has the front-wheel drive Integra to challenge them. They've been very close, 3/10 splitting them across our 7 heats across a Friday and Sunday. This is a really popular class as well, so very deep competition, and these are drivers who have built out the cars, but built out their driving as well. 132 miles an hour as you tip the car into the inner loop.
Oh, had a little bit of a mistake there in the inner loop and slid a little wide. That's going to cost him some speed. Just carried maybe more speed than he expected into the bus stop. 132 miles an hour in a K24 swapped BRZ. 132 for Jeremy Bailey behind. Completely different engine. Well, how about the parity in this class?
A similar shape, I guess, in terms of the car. So maybe similar terminal velocities as they get up towards the end of that straightaway in towards the boot. Let's watch the line here. Sparks flying. That car is running low to the ground, and in some of these compressions, clearly, you must be feeling the bumps of the road and the curbs as well. It's 130 miles an hour from Evan McLaren in the front-wheel drive Integra.
Yeah, that's a little atypical. Typically, the front-wheel drive cars are a hair quicker because they don't have all the drivetrain loss of a drive shaft that can reduce your power output, to a pretty severe amount. But Stan Feingold right at 130. And then Kevin View will be the last driver to hit that back straightaway speed trap. Peter Granberg, big slide. It's been kind of a sloppy lap, but we'll see what he can put together. Every time I watch a Club TR car, either the lap looks really slow because it's overly smooth, or it's super fast and ragged. And we'll see which one this is for Peter Granberg in the 511.
Kevin View with the 131 mile an hour track speed in the Integra, but here comes Granberg, first time across the line. And based on what we saw in Club SC, don't expect these to be the fastest times anyway. They're going to ratchet up to even faster times.
Lock up for Granberg into turn 1. It was a really good lap, though, a 2:05.558. But the rest of the field isn't going to tolerate a mistake like that. Probably put a flat spot in those RT660 Plus tires. Jeremy Bailey is now coming through turn 11. And Granberg see if he keeps on it. This lap isn't going to be fast. Maybe he takes a second, cool things down before he puts all the effort in for a 3rd flyer.
What that tells me is there's a 204 out there. If someone can put it all together without looking so ragged like Granberg was, or get Bailey to the line, that is not the right lap time.
And I think here's why. There was a little bit of drama on the out lap as Evan McLaren does a 2:07.945 on his opening lap. I'm hearing that we've got some vision from some of those slip-ups on the opening laps of this competition as Peter Granberg descends into the boot. Here's another look at it. This is Kevin View in the 18 a moment ago. Got on the rumble strips there, leaving the inner loop, charging too much, and then here's Granberg into turn 1.
Yeah, we saw this, the big lockup, but not just the right front, but the left front as well, seemingly, for a moment. So may have just attacked the brake with a bit too much pressure, but recognized it enough to be able to release it quite well. But as View jumps into 4th, Feingold into 2nd in front of McLaren. Peter Granberg, even with the scrappy lap and a half that we've seen so far, on top spot.
For now, here's Stan Feingold working up to pace, 2nd so far in this K-Series Toyota 86, 130. Again, very consistent into this inner loop section. This looks very composed. And it sounds like they were working on this car a lot over the weekend and trying to get it completely sorted and confident. Going back to our podium sprint at GRIDLIFE Midwest, a lot of drama there. Peter Granberg had an issue on the first lap, pulled off the racetrack, then came back and ended up winning. And he might be set for a 2nd win in a row if no one else can match him. That 2:05.5 was an absolute flyer, but then burning up the tires, he's in, he's out. So if Granberg is beat, then he has no chance to respond at this stage off the racetrack.
Let's see what the others can do. Seems as though the maybe mix-up in traffic might have impacted a couple of those competitors.
Jeremy Bailey is coming through turn 11 now.
Looks good as well from what we saw this lap, looking good from Feingold, who stays just within the bounds of the track, heading up into the final sector here. Very, very composed, which, like you said, sometimes looks calm, not always quick. Jeremy Bailey up to 4th.
He'll want more than that in this final lap. Evan McLaren goes to 2nd quick in the 5:14 in the Integra. Let's see what Stan can find. From all that I can tell, this is a very smooth lap for the Toyota 86.
So 2:07.923 to beat was the previous benchmark. 1.3 seconds to find 2nd away from Evan McLaren. That might be a task too tall on this lap, but he finds 6/10. He's down to a 2:07.3.
It's going to come down to the last lap here. Evan McLaren is headed into the bus stop. These are the other 2 cars on the podium right now. McLaren, and then actually Jeremy Bailey's off the podium at the moment. McLaren looks like he's done. Yeah, 96 miles an hour. He's going to cut the bus stop, so he is going to stop his climb at 2nd place, and he might actually have a problem.
There was smoke or something that I saw for a moment as he slowed down on the climb out of the S's. So heads up from him, yellow flag warning Stan Feingold of the stricken car. You see those records at the top, all set this weekend, of course, given the rain that we had in 2023, but Peter Granberg so close to that record.
Yeah, so I think really it's going to come down to Bailey's last lap in that number 13. See what Kevin View can do as well. Just try to catch Feingold. Again, that yellow flag is going to put a little bit of a hampering on potentially Feingold's run. Nice run through the inner loop, though, for the right-hand drive Integra. Here comes Jeremy Bailey. This car is much quicker than this session has been for him. Let's see if he can respond. The championship battle in Club TR has come down to the 1,000th of a second a couple of times the last few years. Coming into this event, it is Peter Granberg on top over this driver right here, Jeremy Bailey. This could flip the script. If Bailey goes on to win this, they're going to leave here, I believe, tied or very close to it heading into Lime Rock. Checkered flag, and Jeremy Bailey at that 2:08.150 picks up to 2nd and misses out on the win by less than 1/10 of a second. 2:05.558 over behind is Peter Granberg's time. That is Bailey with that 2:05.632. What does McLaren have? Or sorry, Feingold rather.
Very different approaches there. Granberg going maximum attack straight out of pit lane and looking ragged to us, but getting the most out of the car on lap 1, whereas for Bailey, maybe with the incident that he had on the out lap, it took him until the final lap before he felt confident enough to push. Stan Feingold's going to be heading to pit lane, no improvement for him, but here comes Kevin View one final time in Club TR.
Here comes Kevin View across the stripe now in the number 18 Integra. It is a pickup. He knocks Feingold down to 5th, but it's not enough for a podium. And your results for Falcon Club TR are going to be Peter Granberg on top, a 1-lap wonder in that session. Locked up the tires and almost threw the whole thing in the garbage, but it was a 2:05.558. Good enough to win the event. Then it was Jeremy Bailey and then Evan McLaren on your podium. Kevin View and Stan Feingold in the 3:26 wrap up the rest of your top 5 runners. And Jackson Lambros caught up with our Falcon Club SC winner, Michael Jansen, just a few minutes ago. Jackson?
All right, well, he had to dig deep for it, but at the buzzer, Mike Jansen getting another win. Are you aware of where the rest of the competition is? I know you've seen it all weekend, but did you realize you had to go 110% there?
No, I really didn't. I thought I'd have him covered by about a second like I did yesterday, because I used yesterday as a kind of a feeler for what today would be. For him to be within a half second, he drove the crap out of that car too.
With this, you're pretty much locking up the championship here in Club SC. How does it feel to get it done here in the Glen?
It's amazing, especially never being here before. Like, this is legendary track. It's amazing.
Congrats, Michael.
Thank you.
Let's go back upstairs to Kyle. Jumps into 4th. It's done. Appreciate it.
Well, job well done by Michael Jansen and Peter Granberg, your winners in your Falcon spec classes. We've got more GRIDLIFE Track Battle Podium Sprint coming up in just a few minutes' time. They got to go pick up Evan McLaren's car. He's on the podium, but out of contention for the win. We'll be right back after this.
You boys up for a challenge? How about this? Anything you can do, I can do faster. Okay, bro. I'm gnarlier than you. I get more sideways. I'm louder. Much louder. I get wilder than you. You sure about that, bro?
Harder. Slicker. Cooler. Tougher. Let's go. So what you got?
Welcome back to Watkins Glen International and GRIDLIFE Track Battle Podium Sprint. 2 classes down and 5 left to go. Street class is coming up shortly, but Jackson Lambros has caught up with our Falcon Club TR winner, Peter Granberg.
Well, you only needed 1 lap. It was sketchy in the process. I think it was up in the air on whether or not you were even going to be here this weekend.
Yeah.
You got it done. How does it feel, Peter?
Man, overjoyed. I don't even know what words to describe the feeling. It's, you work so hard to get your car just to be ready, and then you got to overcome the challengers and the competitors, and like, the car broke, so I got literally 1 lap, and that was good enough. I'm relieved. I can take a break.
In that opener, did you even feel like that was enough to make it stick?
So I was a 10th off my personal best, and I put on new tires. I'm like, I think there's a 204 in the car for sure. And I finished my first lap, and then the second lap in, I hit the brakes, and I locked up, and I looked down, I'm like, oh, great, my ABS failed. And then I was like, I'm done. So
Another Falcon Club TR win. Congratulations, Peter.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Let's go back up to Kyle.
Thanks, Jackson. Job well done for Peter Granberg. It's going to be street class up next. They're on course now. Track record set this weekend, 203.354. The car that is leading the weekend is that one on the graphic, Joshua Halka. Street legal vehicles here, OEM aero only, bolt-on modifications, and restricted tire sizes. You can only have up to 285 with tires on front and rear drive cars and 255 on all-wheel drive cars. Again, you're going to be doing bolt-ons, suspension, and of course the turbo rules are quite complex, but if you got it all tuned up, should be just over a 2-minute lap time here as we begin Track Battle Podium Sprint here. And out front, it's Josh Halka in the number 777 Turn-In Concept Subaru. Championship leader, Arjuna, if he wins this event, championship locked up.
And I don't think we're expecting too much competition for him. He's been a couple seconds faster than the rest of the field. But the fight for second, third, and fourth is going to be very close between Isaac Ambrose, Mike Coons, Willem Dries, and Giles Marciano. Jackson was telling us just before we went on air post-lunch that Mike Coons is going to go out there, what was it, for 1 lap, and 1 lap to rule them all.
And he said a head gasket is failing, so he was just going to send it. Always loved the time attack attitude of just send it till it blows it. But here we go, Halka past the speed camera on the back straightaway. Let's see what this 777 Subaru is capable of in the speed zone for Halka. It is 143 miles an hour for that WRX.
A little bit of a wiggle as he turned into the inner loop and got down to the apex, but looks very steady now as he settles into the long radius right-hand sweeper. Brings you in towards the back half of the lap now.
Should also mention the extensive experience that Halka has here in endurance racing. Does a lot of that with turn-in concepts on the side. And he's very familiar with this racetrack and has run this car for many years in class. So he is probably the most comfortable of anybody in this class with this combination. That flat 4 engine slung low to the ground. exactly the same straight line speed for Willem Dries. There was a lot of conversation about straight line pace between those two drivers. We verified now with radar, they are identical.
Someone's still going to have a claim that, oh no, one's faster than the other. Racing drivers agree on something even when data says so. Never say never. Mike Coons does eventually get out there, but I'm just wondering, based on the order that they've slotted in, he should have gone out there third. Based on seeding, but maybe that head gasket issue plaguing him a little bit more right now.
Here comes Halka in the 777. This will be lap 1 of 3. Sun is out, baking turns 10 and 11 again, but clouds other places on the circuit. It's big enough, it's got its own weather from one end of the track to the next.
The wind's died down though, so that's something to keep in mind.
Good lap, 2:04, 3:24. Not a bad banker. I think it'll be good enough to win, frankly, but I do expect others to be able to get within shouting distance. Here comes Isaac Ambrose. He's had a great weekend so far. This is a career weekend for the similarly equipped 2.5-liter Subaru. Here he comes. Dark blue Subaru across the stripe, and that is going to be a 2:07.467.
So that's within 3/10 of what he's done in the qualifying run, so that's a pretty good first lap. Can build from there, find a bit more speed.
Sort of treating that curbing like lava. The one thing we have to watch out for here is track limits. They will delete your time if you run out over the edge of the road. Willem Dries jumps to second and claims the front-wheel drive street class record again. He resets it to a 2:06.429 in that Hyundai Elantra.
That's 1.1 seconds faster than he was in qualifying, so he's gone out there and straight away full send in that Elantra end. So big commitment from all these drivers, and now a lot more effort from Willem Dries this time by through the inner loop. That looks like he was hustling the car.
Yeah, a little off the apex there at the carousel. Heard him sort of pedaling to get the rotation through. These all-wheel drive cars definitely don't want to rotate without a little bit of power application. Oh, into the wall, hard goes Isaac Ambrose in the 600. Nosed into the barrier on driver's right into turn 6. And that was speared off straight.
It's ripped the bumper. I think he's leaking fluids, but the tires have, I think, done their job and made that a little less severe than it could have been. That means that the yellow flag should fly, and indeed, yes, full course yellow, and we'll return the other 4 drivers to pit lane. Yeah,
that is a big one. But again, that tire bundle pack there reduces the amount of energy that goes into the car and the driver. But unfortunate for Ambrose, who was having such a great weekend, but was a little bit off in the carousel, and you just wonder if he thought he could make it up into the braking zone there. He was offline going into it and just couldn't recover. There's no room for error down at turn 6. When I was watching the Trans Am races last week, same story there. It's an underrated corner as far as its challenge is concerned. Everyone looks at the S's, such a high-speed place where the walls funnel you down. There's some corners that are more challenging from a technicality perspective. Turn 9, I think, is one of those. But turn 6, you see the damage to the tire barriers there. And honestly, all things considered, the damage to the car isn't quite as bad as you would surmise.
I thought it had ripped out a bit more of the bodywork, but now that we've got a bit more of a zoomed look in, it doesn't look so bad, actually.
So here's the benefit to this. Obviously, this unfortunate situation, but the tire bundles are designed for perpendicular impact. So if you hit them nose on, the energy that the tires absorb is all in that direction. It's all that squish. If you get the side of the car, it sort of turns the car backwards and throws it around. Josh Halka is going to pull into the pit lane.
Well, I would argue that is the paddock.
The paddock,
right there. Right by the garages where the IMSA Michelin and Pilot Challenge teams would sit during a sail in 6 hours of the Glen weekend. So, yeah, I think that's Josh saying that even if we do go back out there, there's no real advantage to me going and running.
No, and again, I think we'll see what the other cars do. Willem Dries has also made the right into pit lane and the paddock.
Although he's having a conversation with someone there.
Yeah, I mean, if they do let you go back out, opportunity for sure. I just don't know if you're going to find, 2 seconds.
And I think for Willem, maybe part of the thought would have been trying to cover off from Mike Coons or Ambrose or Marciano. Maybe now he'll be aware of what has happened as we see the...
Mike Coons, by the way, recall that he has a...
He's not blown a head gasket, apparently.
The head gasket is on its way out. He has run a time good enough for 3rd place. So he could steal a podium out of this.
So that's why you should go out there, even just for the one lap. Dig deep, show some spirit of racing. That's exactly what gets rewarded.
Wow. That could be some drama. Really unfortunate for Ambrose in the 600. Well, as the cars head back to the pit lane, we're going to let the safety crews get to work. We're hearing that Isaac Ambrose is out of the car and okay. That's the best news of all, but has put us under a full course yellow, and we'll be back in a few moments with more GridLife track battle coverage after this.
There's a moment behind the wheel of what I've built where power overrides gravity, and I hit that zero moment. Zero doubts, zero fear, zero competition. No rule or mold I can't break. And limits, absolutely zero. And there's a non-zero sugar to get me there.
Barrier repair underway here at Watkins Glen International. Returning back for GridLife track battle coverage at Summer Apex Festival. Kyle Heyer joined by Arjuna Kankapati and Jackson Lambros in the paddock. All the street class competitors that were out on the racetrack have elected to come back to the paddock and will not return, which means, oh, there's some drama here though. This 777 of Josh Halka has just had his time deleted, Arjuna. That's big news.
Is he going to get the choice to...
I mean, I think the decision has been made. But why has that time been deleted?
Well, it would have to be track limits is what we would assume, right?
I feel like we followed that car for the whole session. But let me get a clarification.
We'll see if you can get word, but yeah, I guess if the decision has been made to not return to the track, at this point he will not have the opportunity to change that. And it means the championship's extended by an additional round. Josh was in a position to win this event, wrap up the championship effectively as well. So let's see if you can get word from our great team here at Race Control and track limits monitored by corner marshals. So maybe they had got word about something that we hadn't got quite the right angle for, but sure we'll find out sooner rather than later.
Hope so. See Jeremy Bailey pulling back in there. So typically what happens when you are the winner of a track battle class, or you break a record, you're brought to impound where the car is then weighed, and then any other obviously illegal things would be checked. But curious in the case of the 777 what the story is there. You see Isaac Ambrose's time has been deleted as well. No surprise there. That constitutes a 4 off, so that will move him to the bottom.
By which you mean if you put all 4 wheels off the track
right.
here in Podium Sprint, you lose your time. So that is to be expected. And it means that Willem Dries might just walk away with the street win here. If that lap time deletion is to be believed. Mike Koons with the blown head gasket now suddenly second. And Charles Marciano would be scored in third.
Yeah, we'll continue to work on getting the clarification for that. While the barrier repair completes, we'll jump away to break one more time while the safety crews are at work. And I'll try to figure out what's going on with the 777 of Josh Hulka. We'll be right back. Live at Watkins Glen, checkered flag on street class. We were wondering what happened to Josh Hulka in the 777. I'd asked around, hadn't heard an answer. Jackson, over by the impound area, do you have more on the 777 for us?
Well, I was actually halfway through interviewing Josh Hulka when the news came out that that lap was invalidated. When we wrapped that up, he knew exactly where it was on exit of turn 8. He believed he was carrying a tad too much speed, but nothing worthy of ending his session or ending that lap. We walked over together to the GRIDLIFE officials. He said he had two options. The GRIDLIFE officials said that he had two options. He could either go out for another lap or go over onboard footage to protest it. Pretty much the minute that latter option was offered, he walked back over to the car to grab his GoPro. But currently, right now, still some discussions in progress. I'll get you guys info as soon as I have it.
Thanks, Jackson. And the mighty track limits have bitten for the first time in Podium Sprint here, Arjuna. Turn 8 is the trouble spot. When we looked at the course this weekend, it was sort of turn 1, 8, and 10 that we thought might be the zones that got drivers. But this is our court, and you have to stay in the lines. And it just ran a little bit wide.
It's one of the differences between Gingerman and Watkins Glen. I guess there are a few places here where you can run that little bit wider as opposed to just having grass as your track limit. But I'm sure he's going to go look at the footage, see what he can, but ultimately track limits often in the eye of the judger, and in this case our corner marshal's doing a great job to keep an eye on all of that.
Well, let's have a look at the results for street class. Provisional, of course, as they always are here on the broadcast. Willem Dries will pick up his first street class victory on this side of the country with a 2:06.429, and with that he'll parlay another point because of the front-wheel drive track record. Mike Coons, with that head gasket letting go, scores a second place, and Giles Marciano, in his first return in some time, scores a third. Josh Hulka, again with that lap time deletion, and Isaac Ambrose with the unfortunate incident at turn 6 that has put us in this delay, is position number 5, Arjuna. So a little bit of drama in street class to finish off our weekend for our blue stickered friends down there.
That's what Podium Sprint is all about. That's why you should stick around on the Sunday afternoon as we get wrapped up with the weekend's action. You can never relax in these 3-lap shootouts at the end of the day.
Yeah, and for the video as well, what is going to prove him guilty or not guilty is going to be the details, because the curbing there is rippled. So when you're driving on it, it produces a sound and it vibrates the car. And if you go off all the way to the left of the curbs, all that noise will stop because it's just smooth concrete out there beyond the limit. And so that's how they'll determine that. But of course, the burden of proof is now on the driver after the corner worker calls. So barrier repair still going on down there at turn 6. Let's have a look here at our Street GT class overview, because that'll be our next group on track. We step up the horsepower quite a bit into this category, into the 500 to 650 horsepower range. Modern high horsepower street legal vehicles, OEM aero only, MSRP around $132,000 is your limit. But of course, you can add aero from a different trim of the same vehicle, so long as that car is also under that pricing limit.
And the top 5 in this class dominated by the Corvette Z06. We've got one Camaro in the mix as well, but Luke McGrew has been pretty lights out this weekend. He's going to be first out there with a 158.058 as the previous benchmark to beat. Barrier repair all done. Let's go for our next group.
Street GT rolling out now, and Luke McGrew is in command of this field so far this year. 3 rounds, 3 wins, 3 records. If he does it again today and wins Podium Sprint, it'll be a championship locked up in July. That's the amount of domination that McGrew has had in this 717 Corvette Z06.
But
But
what just happened to Josh Hulka in a very similar position? Never say never at a place like Watkins Glen.
Well, I will say this. I've been watching Luke McGrew for a very long time. I can count on one hand with 3 fingers how many times I've ever seen him go off the racetrack. Now, I should knock on all the surfaces in this area.
What a commentator's curse
I know.
this would be.
I should have learned my lesson, but he's a really, really solid driver, and I don't think he really needs to be that on the limit. Brian Matthews is close, but I don't know.
1.8 seconds off.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough to really keep the pressure on, but Nick Hendricks as well, wild card driver here. Our speed zone's still working on the back straightaway. We should see speeds north of 160 miles an hour. These cars have really no aero on them, right? They're very slippery. They actually generate lift at high speeds and are a lot of fun to watch sling around this course. So Street GT, then it'll be Street Mod, Track Mod, and Unlimited. I'm hearing that they're probably going to combine Unlimited and Track Mod together because we're on a little bit of a time constraint here. So the track will be a bit busier when we get to those classes.
Well, busier, but I guess when you think about some of those Unlimited cars, we know that they're going to... There's one car that's going to do one lap and pull in. That's the Tesla Model Plaid. But there's a couple of cars that might want to just use the first lap as the lap and then come back down to pit lane. So we'll see how that all funnels out, but for the time being, all eyes on Luke McGrew to see if he can keep that record ticking through very nicely out of the final corner. Not quite up to the wall, doesn't need to take that risk just yet as he begins the 3-lap run.
Into turn 1, Luke McGrew jumps on the brakes. It's a long braking zone in these cars without any downforce really to assist the car. Not the lightest vehicles on the racetrack either, so they do take a little bit to slow down. This is the scary part, up through the S's. Really no aerodynamics to lean on. You're just carving through here, waiting to get straight, and now throttling down up into 5th gear. And we should see Luke pass the speed trap here in a moment. That 2007 Chevrolet Corvette Z06 into the braking zone, 158 miles an hour. He might even be braking by that point because they have to brake a little sooner than everybody else. Nicely hopping over the curbs and looking very solid at the moment.
It's a decent line through the inner loop. Settles the rear end on that left rear tire through the long right-hand corner. And now down to where we saw the moment in our street class for Isaac Ambrose. No such troubles for Luke McGrew as he continues to work now to the very bottom of the track here at Watkins Glen. Climb up the toe.
Oh, little wiggle.
And you heard the hesitation there on power as I think he had to slightly lift off as the rear end got a little bit lively.
Into turn 8 now. This is the spot that bit Halka in the 777. So easy to let the car wash out if you get on power a little too soon. Right here, watch this. Right out to the edge. He had about 3 feet more to go before he was riding the limit of those red, yellow, and blue curb stones. Now just 2 corners left for Luke's first lap of 3, 155 miles an hour. I think that was for either Brad Smith or Luis Zendejas.
Definitely not flat through the penultimate corner for Luke McGrew. In fact, left a lot of margin on the outside there, so I wonder if he slightly backed off at the end of this one. But remember, 158.058 to beat. There was no margin really left to the wall this time as he breaks the timing beam for the first lap of 3.
And it is a 159.002, so about a second off of his best of the weekend. But that might be enough for Luke McGrew. Where is Ryan Matthews in the 211, that red Corvette? This is the Zendejas car at the bottom of the boot. Ryan Matthews' first lap, a 201.461. Here's the second place car, Ryan Matthews, quiet in the paddock. Last year was running 2 Corvettes, a C5 and a C6, was running in Street Mod and Street GT. Luke does 157 down the backstretch. Let's see what Ryan Matthews can manage in his 2006 Corvette Z06.
We're ratcheting up the speed, aren't we? Getting closer to the 190 mile an hour mark that we're expecting in the Unlimited class. Great noise on the brakes just before he hits the speed trap for Ryan Matthews, and I think that contributes to the radar reading at 148. But oh, that was beautiful through the third part of the inner loop. It really set him up nicely then to pitch the car into the final part of that chicane and then dance it down to the boot.
Now both these drivers on Yokohama Advan AO52 tires. Those are a popular choice in this class. Again, you're on 200 tread wear tires all the way up until track mod where the tread wear drops a little bit. Matthews at the toe of the boot now. This is where Luke struggled to get back on power. Ryan a little bit more composed than Luke's last lap. I do think McGrew's going to pick up this lap. I have a feeling that he left a little margin. You always want to get a banker lap in podium sprint before you really push, just in case you slip up.
Let's see if there is to be more improvement. Another driver breaks the 157 mile an hour barrier. That might be Brad Smith potentially. Gonna hear Luke McGrew actually make his way down to pit lane. So
one and done for Luke McGrew.
I think he's pretty happy with the 1:59.0. Might not be too much time left on track. There's Ryan Matthews. I like to bring this lap to its conclusion all the way up to the track on the outside of the final corner. That's a nice wide arc that's seen him sweep back down. And as he breaks the timing line, he finds about a second.
He finds some time, but it's not enough. And it looks like, by the way, street class has had Hulka's time reinstated, a 2:04.324. So as I said, results are always provisional, but they have put Hulka's time back on. So that track limits investigation seems to have cleared Hulka of any wrongdoing. And that will change the running order and knock Dries back down to second. That will be a topic of discussion.
Yeah, I feel for Dries, but Josh Hulka will feel vindicated that he didn't push beyond the bounds of the track limits. Here comes Hendricks to the line, no improvement. His fastest this weekend, a 2:01.091, so about 1.1 seconds off of that. Again, I think maybe a reflection of slightly warmer conditions now that the track's been baking a bit longer. The cloud cover seemingly removed just a little bit. Another glorious roar up towards the highest point on the track.
Down the backstretch, Nick Hendricks soaring into the braking zone here, 152 miles an hour. And just trying to go a little bit quicker because Luis Zendejas is hot on his heels. That 2/10 differential for that last step on the podium. This is their last lap. Heard the tires at work there through the right-hander at the carousel. A little tentative.
Yeah, and you saw him wash up the track as he was fighting the car up to the left side of the curb.
Oh, he's off at 6 and in. Oh, he missed it. He missed the wall by inches. But Hendricks is going to have his times deleted for the 4 off down there at 6 as well. So that will move Zendejas up onto the podium regardless.
He was moving, he was hustling, and maybe a bit too much down towards that entrance into the boot. He'll be kicking himself a little bit frustrated as he makes his way to pit lane, probably this time by.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but he got away with one. Turn 6 has been biting people hard.
It's a fast entry, gravity working against you as you try and slow the car down as well.
Checkered flag is out. And I'll say, maybe be disappointed with the 4 off, but hey, I will say race car saved.
Yes.
Take that.
And just to put it in context, I think I told you this, but when I brought my bike here a couple of weeks ago, I hit 55 kilometers an hour at the bottom of the boot when I was tired from climbing up all the way through the S's. So it is a very awkward place to work your way down, and I think very good job from Hendricks to avoid running into the wall and, like you say, ruining the race car.
Yeah, they haven't taken his time yet, but again, provisional results as Luis Zendejas works his way through the last 2 corners. He's already off pace and will not complete this lap for time. So we'll have a look at the class results here for the weekend at Watkins Glen. And that will make Luke McGrew already in July with 2 events to go, the champion of Street GT in 2026. 4 straight wins. South Carolina, Road Atlanta, Gingerman Raceway, Watkins Glen. The man from West Virginia picks up his 4th win and 4th track record of the season and no longer has to even go to Lime Rock nor Laguna Seca. No one can challenge him for the title. Here's a look at your provisional results pending Nick Hendricks in that 364. If they take a look at it at turn 6, McGrew, Matthews, Hendricks, your top 3, Zendejas, and Brad Smith wrapping up your top 5.
What more is there to say than imperious for Luke McGrew? An almost perfect season so far now. Really, the pressure's on to complete the perfect season at Lime Rock and WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Well, that'll do it for GridLife Street GT, and we'll step away for a moment. It'll be Street Modified up next on course at Watkins Glen. Back live at Watkins Glen International, Track Battle Podium Sprint continues. Street Modified is up next, and Dewey DeWitt is your record holder from earlier in the weekend. These are advanced street-driven cars with extensive bolt-on modifications, limited tire width, but heavy aero and engine internal modifications here, suspension and brakes. These are where the speeds start to step up in a really big way, Arjuna.
I mean, Dewey DeWitt has a car that is an absolute monster. It would not be totally out of place in Unlimited in some regards, but this is such a competitive class when you look from the top to bottom. It requires the car to be at its maximum. Also requires the driver to get the most out of it as well. We're sub 2 minutes now for the first time
All right.
as we head into podium sprint once again.
Here comes Dewey, Boogeyman. Earlier this weekend, their gearbox input shaft shattered. They drove all the way back to grab a old-fashioned 6-speed manual gearbox, and here they are, returning in track battle podium sprint. We have not seen this car a lot this weekend, trying to nurse it to a championship. All they need is second and the record, so they only need to finish second place in this session to go on and win the weekend. I think he's got a good chance to win it up the S's.
Great noise that shifts up at the top of the hill. Let's see the speed.
Missed the speed trap there by a little bit.
Probably closer to the 160, 165 sort of threshold for Dewey DeWitt. Didn't run this morning. He's really been limiting the time. And he mentioned to Jackson yesterday that even though he's now dancing on 3 pedals behind the wheel of that car, he's not forgotten how to drive the H-pattern box, and he's still showing some decent speed. We should keep an eye out, though, for Cal Fortner. He has saved a set of sticker tires for today, and he was only a tenth slower than Dewey DeWitt through the qualifying heat, so he could really be bringing the pressure in his Mercedes AMG GTS.
Yeah, this is the first time in a while that we've seen Dewey challenged, and it really took something major breaking on the car. He is old-fashioned heel-toe downshifting this car in a way that he has not had to do in a long time because of the sequential gear set they put in the OEM transmission housing, thus bypassing the rule that your transmission housing has to be stock. It does not specify that the internals of said gearbox need to be stock, so they went and put sequential gear stacks into an OEM trans, but he does not have that today. So old-fashioned 6-speed manual. First lap for Dewey DeWitt and Boogeyman. Out of turn 11, right up against the outside wall. He might only need to do 1 lap. Let's see what he can do. Cross the stripe for Dewey DeWitt, the number 70. And it is a new track record for all-wheel drive street modified 158.357.
He found 0.4 of a second, but will that be enough to fend off Cal Fortner with 770 odd horsepower at his disposal? Look at those records at the top of the screen. Cal with the rear-wheel drive record, and his first lap, only a 59.3. So if he finds another second, he'll find his way to the top. But crucially, what you said about the championship, Dewey's going to get the record on all-wheel drive. Even if Cal beats him and the rest of the field slots into 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Dewey walks away with the crown.
Everyone's fighting for second, basically. So, that's going to be... Uh-oh. That is Nick Nazzaro, who's had a little trouble with that right rear fender. I mean, he might have gotten into the wall just very slightly. Cal Fortner looks like he is backed off the pace. Maybe he's cooling down for 1 more lap. Jesse Myra runs a 2:03.666. So Dai Yoshihara is the next car going fast, who's right behind Cal Fortner by the looks of it, coming into the inner loop here.
And another car that's had some issues through the course of the weekend as well. We saw Dai stopped at one point. The left front was the point of concern, brought back to the garage area, and then earlier today, actually, in the final qualifying heat that he had, locked up down to turn 1 and almost ran into the tire wall. So it's been eventful for Dai, but back in the Subimod Subaru, might have backed out slightly because he's not caught up to Cal just yet as we enter the toe. Now, is Cal going to decide to go for another lap?
I think so. This is a heavy car. And I don't know that running 2 consecutive laps is really the move here. I think you run 1, you cool it off, and you go again. But that's also, if you can see if Dai Yoshihara is also going to be moving kind of slowly. Dewey's coming back at full song, though, as far as I can tell, coming through turn 11 and back to the stripe. See bottom right of your screen. Is it going to be a pickup for Dewey?
Well, maybe also building for a 3rd lap. No improvement there. Quick glance at the timing screen just to double check. Yeah, indeed, that was a good 10 seconds slower. So I think he was setting up for a 3rd final push lap. Same situation now for Cal Fortner as Dewey DeWitt heads up the hill.
I don't know that he's on full song, is he? This car sounds... Does it sound a little funny to you?
I don't have as much experience with the car, unfortunately, to be able to fall back on things. That is a moment for Jesse Myra, who's pulling, I think, into the shortcut just on the exit of turn 9 to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, that's odd. Dewey passed the speed trap at just 118 miles an hour.
So definitely not at full song.
No, and I think he'll be backing out, and we'll see if Fortner and Yoshihara decide to go back at it. Nick Nazzaro is still dragging that bumper around. Here's Cal Fortner. He looks like he's up to speed in that AMG down the back straightaway, the number 14 car.
Let's keep an eye on this. Some really interesting aero work on the front. 166 miles an hour. The dive planes in the split are going to keep the front end stuck to the ground as he chucks it into the bus stop. Kisses the inside of the fourth and final part of the curbing and brings a bit of gravel with him as he throws it into the right-hander. That car is looking really good.
Yeah, that was actually quicker than Dewey's straightaway speed, though I imagine that Dewey was on the brakes a little sooner. Remember that because Cal Fortner's car is a rear-wheel drive car, he's allowed to have 285 width tires. All-wheel drive is limited to 255. That drastically increases your braking distance, but 166 for the AMG, 145 for whoever's following. I believe that is Nazzaro. I think Yoshihara's pulled off.
Cal was having issues with his ABS at Gingerman as well, so I'm assuming that he's resolved them or to be comfortable at a track like this, especially when you're on the brakes for such a short period, but at high speeds, you really do not want to be dealing with ABS intermittently working against you more than anything. Tentative out of turn 9, but that's more just managing the weight as he comes towards the final couple of corners.
Cal Fortner throttling up 700 horsepower AMG. Needs a little bit more to get to catch Dewey, but the straight line was quick. Is it parlayed enough to go to the top of the board in Street Mod? It is not enough. Dewey DeWitt is going to win Street Mod, and he will also go home a champion in July.
That's wild. Nazzaro still almost shedding part of the bumper behind him as it flaps around in the draft. Cal was only 4/10 off his fastest lap, though, so it was a pretty decent effort from him on that third and final flyer, but just not enough to displace the man of the moment.
Man, Dewey is just on a tear. You can't keep him down. Make him drive all the way back to Tennessee for a backup gearbox. That is quite the story. And Nazzaro finishes up his run, and it is quicker, but not quick enough to go to fourth. And I think that's going to do it. That was our third and final lap. Checkered flag is out. Let's have a look at our Street Mod results for Track Battle Podium Sprint. And Dewey DeWitt is your winner and your champion for 2026. Another record and another win. Cal Fortner P2 in the Al's Auto Body Mercedes AMG. Dai Yoshihara finishes in third. Jesse Myra and Nick Nazzaro fourth and fifth. That'll do it for Grid Life Track Battle Time Attack Street Mod. And to my understanding here, Arjuna, the last two groups are going to be combined here. So they're going to be on track here very shortly. Now, I'm looking for a gentleman up here in the R92 lounge, and his name is Jordan Sorolnik, and I'd love to have a chat with him. Where's Jordan at? We'll bring him down here and have a brief chat. We're not going to go to break here because we've got our next group coming up, so we might as well take this opportunity to talk about a story that we've been following all weekend long, and that is Jordan Sorolnik. He has a C7 Corvette. He was here just as a spectator, and Jordan's going to join me now. And Jordan, the other day you were walking around the paddock, and you got a phone call from Louis Gelati's team, the LGR team, where Alan Patton is driving one of the fastest unlimited cars in the country, and they said what to you?
Is this your Corvette? And my initial reaction was somebody probably backed into it or something ridiculous in the parking lot. No, they gave me a quick rundown of what they were going through, and they said, this is a lot of information to take in. Come on over to the paddock, come say hi, come talk to us. And from the second we stepped in over there, everyone's just been ridiculously professional. The operation they're running boggles my mind. I own a business, and I just see, all that behind the scenes stuff going on. And everyone over there was working together. everything, you know, they're sending people multiple states away to go pick up spare racks, and just needed mine in a pinch to get back on the track. And you know, anything I can do to help if I'm here.
So I don't want to out you here. What's the fastest you've driven your car in a straight line?
It was high 150s on the back straight here. Yeah, I've been on track here. I do a bunch of different HPDE days. I did the SCCA time trials here, held at this track, and yeah, so this is one of my, you know, I'm from Pennsylvania, but it's one of the closer tracks I have. So yeah, I've been on track here, and I wanted to see how the real drivers do it. So we came out this weekend.
Well, I think Alan's gonna bring up the VMAX of your steering rack here a little bit, put some load on it. Jordan, thanks for doing that.
Absolutely.
And keeping us one of our fastest competitors of the weekend on the racetrack. Appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. Track Mod is on the racetrack. Now, what a great story that is for GRIDLIFE. You know, there's all sorts of drivers and spectators in the paddock that are lending each other parts and pieces, trying to find anything they can to get back to work. As we look at our Track Mod class overview here, Adam Slawinski, the track record holder, Arjuna. These cars are track-focused vehicles that are basically single-purpose. They're designed and built, you know, from production cars, but these are the cars that you've got a lot more concessions to go fast.
And Adam, in particular, has taken a BMW M4 and strapped some GT3 parts onto it. That includes the actual turbochargers from the BMW M4 GT3 machine. It includes aero elements inspired, including that rear wing, the front wing element as well. The one thing that he hasn't quite done yet, though, is work through the diffuser setup at the rear. So that's one thing he was chatting to me and Jackson about yesterday. He's got plenty of ideas for it, but he wants to make this car capable of going much faster than the 154 that he's already done this weekend. As we get him strolling to the line, I say strolling, he's picked up the pace pretty much instantly. He's going to send it here.
Down the front straightaway into the braking zone for this BMW M4 Competition X Drive, the all-wheel drive grip available to him here. He's really new to driving on the racetrack as well. He's just a couple of years into it, and has learned very quickly. Go back to Midwest Festival, though. His podium sprint ended in a gravel trap there. He was frustrated with that. This car is so capable, though, and he's going to scream down the back straightaway into the braking zone for the inner loop at 163 miles an hour.
That's an all-wheel drive car as well of note, so slightly different from just a rear-wheel drive machine. He's based out in Long Island, so relatively close for him to come out here. We were joking about, is he going to make the trek out to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca? He said if he gets the wins and the records the next couple of weeks, he might think about it. So no pressure, Adam, as next driver to the speed trap. Only 153 miles an hour, so about 9 miles an hour quicker, the BMW at the VMAX line.
Chris Boersma seated third in this fight, second in the championship. He's finished second twice and sixth once. 161 miles an hour for Boersma. And I expect Igor Keselov as well in the Tesla to be quite quick as well.
The Honda Civic that Chris Boersma is behind the wheel of, 1.8 liter inline four, and we were joking about this earlier in the weekend, still puts out 600 horsepower. Couldn't quite believe it when I first read that on the stat sheet, but again, goes to show the different ways that all of these drivers have built up these cars. Very good lap for Adam Slawinski, though. By no means slow as he exits the final corner.
Let's see what Slawinski's got in this M4 Competition X Drive. First lap of 3 for TrackBattle Podium Sprint Track Mod. It is a 154.549. That's a lightning quick lap. Not a record this weekend, but awful close to it, I believe. Here's a look at a moment ago. Chris Smith heading down the hill, and big lockup with the right front. Got that thing woed down just in time for that corner. You see him just making sure. Ooh, is it?
That might be a bigger issue, some sort of. Yeah. Oh, and that's a car into the wall.
Yeah, that's Igor Keselov in the Tesla. He's come to a stop up against the barriers at turn 7. And
now, we knew that car was a one-lap car because it didn't have the cooling to do many more laps. It's become a one-lap car in a slightly different way now.
Yeah, off at 7 and just skating. Ooh, he got into that pretty good with the left front, didn't he?
Yeah. I wonder if there was fluid on the track potentially or something that had been.
So it could have been, yeah, it could have been Chris Smith. Instead of a lockup, maybe it was oil or something out the right front. Brings out the full course yellow, which is going to bring race control to their knees here because they were going to combine the two sessions, but between track mod and unlimited, but they let them go separate and maybe ruining that decision, unfortunately. And they're going to dispatch. Well, at least they're in the same area. They can just dispatch everything to one spot.
And hopefully we've got the right equipment. We don't need a second flatbed by hope. That would be suboptimal. Now, only Adam Slowinski set a time, and he was about 0.3 off of the fastest lap he's done this weekend. So he was right on the pace with the first of the 3 laps. No one else really getting a chance to respond.
Yeah, drivers are all right. Not going to be their best day, certainly, but frustrated, I'm sure.
For Igor Kesselov, that is the car that he drives daily from what we've been told. Take some of the splitter and aero elements off that maybe are less conducive to daily driving, but yeah, it's going to be a real shame for him, and he hit the wall pretty hard as well, so that's the risk of Watkins Glen. We've had a couple of incidents where we've talked off air about how lucky we've had been to see them not be major incidents, but it's a track where there's no real margin for error. Most of the corners are high speed as well, so if anything goes wrong, it's usually at a pretty high cost.
Well, they're keeping the safety crews busy this afternoon, unfortunately, but GRIDLIFE track battle coverage continues, and Adam Slowinski's on top of the board. Unlimited should be up next. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back live to Watkins Glen International. It's finally time to bring the racetrack back to green flag conditions after an extensive cleanup down at turn 7, and it's time for the unlimited category here at Watkins Glen. First car on the racetrack is going to be Mike Dussault in the crazy Camaro on the back straightaway. Then Sasha Anise will be trailing him in the 350Z, the hybrid car known as Kels. So between these two cars, a combined 2,000 horsepower, 1,400-ish from the Camaro and about 600 from the 350Z in trail.
No Alan Patton, though, unfortunately, and the reason why you and I were just watching the video posted on social media by Alan himself. They had a tire issue coming out of the opening corner, left front blew, and ended up hitting the wall at the very bottom of the S's. Right now, what these drivers, though, that are on track are having to do is figure out where the grip's going to be around this boot section with so much oil or fluid of some kind being laid down, so much speedy dry still left there from track services.
Yeah, again, this, you know, if they were all happy with where they qualified, they can just forfeit. They would go back to their qualifying times, and it would sort of, you know, put them back in the order that they should be based on their pace for the rest of the weekend, but they want more. I don't know that they're going to see track record times, but we will probably see some pretty awesome straight line speeds out of this Camaro. If you're here at the Turn 10 grandstand, this is that 1,400 horsepower Camaro we were talking about. Mike Dussault has built this car up to the absolute maximum level of grip that car can generate. Heave spring setup under the nose and tail. Sasha Anise with that all-carbon 350Z in trail. Here we go, green flag for Podium Sprint, 3 laps for the unlimited cars.
You talk about the work done on the cars, so much thought put into every little element. There's a extension on the right side of the front wing slash splitter that does not exist on the left side. There's all these little nuances that they have dialed in. Crack the throttle, slight lift as you get over the top of the hill, and then full chat back up towards our speed gun. 192 top speed so far this weekend.
184, a little bit off of his peak, but he's sailing through the inner loop now, dancing over the curbing. Mike Dussault in that 57. Sasha Anise looked like he was still warming things up. I think he'll go hard next lap around.
For Mike, the way he landed after the first part of the curb, it pushed him out slightly, but he didn't lose too much time, was able to straighten the next part of the complex pretty nicely, and then drop down to where we're not sure where the grip's going to be. 170 there from Pezelis in his own Corvette. Slightly different line taken from Dussault. He tightens things up, avoids being on that speedy dry, and then very tentative putting the power down.
Accelerating up out of turn 7. I think that area of the racetrack is going to be quite skittish, so you'll have to be cautious. I should also note that there are some track mod cars still on the racetrack. They will be rerunning their session in trail of the unlimited cars, but we're going to focus on the top runners at the moment. Here comes the 57, leaving turn 9, throttling up around to turn 10. We'll see what he's got in the tank. I'm gonna guess a 46 or 47 on this first go around.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a track record, and that's not the fault of the drivers. That's just the condition down there in the boot. Watch him through the final corner. Didn't go all the way out to the white line. Didn't want to risk touching the grass by any means, and then power down, break the timing line.
46.882. Not a bad estimate eyeball for me up here in the booth. Dussault hits turn 1 again, and Sasha Anise is going to come across. I believe he'll be starting a flying lap, but Dussault now climbing the hill on lap number 2. He's been able to do a couple laps, and usually the second was his faster one.
We saw the 192 number, but that wasn't the fastest lap that he set. You are right. Slightly slower at the speed trap than he was at terminal velocity previously. It's a consistent number though, and this time lands a little bit better, and he's able to then run the more normal sort of line that I think he would have wanted to out of the inner loop. Drops into the long right-hander once again. These drivers just have so much downforce at their disposal.
Sasha Anise at 159 miles an hour. That's actually pretty strong speed for him. He makes all of his time into and out of the corners with that electric boost from the hybrid Nissan 350Z setup as Pezelis goes over 170 again.
And very close between Jake Ertel and Pezelis, just about a tenth between them for 3rd and 4th positions in this unlimited class, so something to fight for. Slightly slower in the straight line, I think this time from Jake Ertel as he maybe backs off slightly.
A lot of tentative driving there from Dussault through turn 8. The grip level isn't quite there. And Ertel, again, that first lap, you see Pezelis is just shortcut there, so that'll be a lap time deletion. He must feel like he's got a problem in that Corvette. Here comes Dussault again, finishing out his 2nd lap. We'll pick up Sasha Anise and see if he can go a little bit quicker. Definitely an issue with the 338 of Pezelis. That car is not happy. And here comes Kels.
146.3.
All right, improvement for Dussault. What's Sasha got in the tank in the red 350Z?
Now a 46.3 would be amongst the fastest times that Anise has been able to set all week, so I'm not quite sure if that will be the expectation, but sub 50 for sure is what we'd expect. It's a 48.9.
All right, now what's he got here? Look at that turn in. It just darts in, leaning on the downforce, right out to the edge, all over the rumble strips here. And this car, with that hybrid boost, is about 100 horsepower added to the internal combustion engine and equipped with DRS, that drag reduction system. Dussault is off throttle, and Anise will open up the rear wing on this car and accelerate to about 160 miles an hour past the speed trap into the inner loop. It is 161, even quicker this time through.
That might be the fastest we've seen him this weekend. He saved the most commitment for the last lap of the race, off for the final part of the curbing through the bus stop chicane. He pushes out wide slightly, but that helps him to arc into the corner. These drivers have enough speed to warrant the extra distance occasionally, but watch him tight down on the entry into the boot as he now gets to where we know the grip level is questionable. Which line does he take? Tighter line to the inside of the corner.
Yeah, he is used to testing this car at tracks with very high commitment. Runs that frequently at CTMP to sort of benchmark this car. And that's a really fast course in a car like this.
The only place I can really think of in North America that warrants more commitment than this, CTMP.
Broke a transmission earlier in the weekend. Right out to the edge. Still on the road, but very, very close to the limit. Sasha tracking out to the edge of the rumbles here. This is his last opportunity.
He clipped the inside of turn 9. I'm not sure if that was intended, but he got away with it. Great noise behind us as he roars to the line. Look at the downforce on the rear of this car as well. It's stuck to the ground as he powers to the line.
Oh, so close to the wall at turn 11. Can Sasha Anise pick the pocket with this high downforce hybrid 350Z? And he gets closer, but it's not enough. A 147.045. Sasha Anise finishes 2nd in Track Battle Unlimited.
You know, if he had the 100-odd horsepower that he's missing this weekend compared to normal, I think Dussault would have had a challenger.
I think you're exactly right about that. And with Pezelis retiring, Jake Ertel is able to score 3rd here. Here's Chris Boersma. I think he's on.
That's a cool down.
Yeah, he's cooling down as well. So let's go through our results for Track Mod first and then Unlimited. There is Adam Slowinski coming back around. But we'll look at our Track Mod results and then Unlimited as Slowinski, I think, is still on it, but I just don't know that there's going to be much more to get as he comes through the last corner. A 1:59.104. Chris Boersma at that 2:03.776, and then Chris Smith, again, with that mechanical problem, provisionally on podium here. Of course, Igor Keselov knocked out here. As we move on to the unlimited results, it is Mike Dussault on top. He's been the fastest car most of the weekend. The car notably missing from this, Alan Patton. He will be scored in 5th place on the weekend, which is not representative of his lap times, but rather the absence from podium sprint. Sasha Anise and Jay Gertel, 2nd and 3rd.
I think that means Puzelis grabs the championship lead as well. So still lots to play for with Lime Rock and Laguna Seca to come.